Last time we saw you guys was of course part 1 of our top 10 weirdest Marvel hookups. And listen, there are a lot of weird hookups in the Marvel universe, both the comics and the cinematic universe, so it's only fair to add some more to the list. And make sure you stick around until the end of the video because I'll be featuring a couple of comments from part 1. It's always so fun reading your comments, and if you guys click that little bell there, you can be notified when we do our live premieres, and then we can all hop in the chat together and talk shop, and I can respond to your comments live. Even if they're mean, I'll type back. I'm Taylor McWatters, let's dive in. Number 10, Mystique and Deadpool. Deadpool gets around, and so does Mystique, in fact. So it's only fair to assume that the two ended up crossing paths at some point. In holy matrimony even? Maybe. So in Deadpool number 27, titled The Wedding of Deadpool, we find out that Mystique and Wade were married. That would be the best wedding of all time. Well, the love wasn't true or strong enough to last, as shortly after he asked her to sign the divorce papers. He's also been married quite a bit, so this isn't his first divorce rodeo, that's for sure. So why didn't the couple work out? Well, Mystique, being Mystique, was actually just using Wade, sort of like a way into Weapon X so she can steal some files. Classic Mystique move. The issue itself is quite enjoyable and funny. We even see Wade visit the lovely Niagara Falls. Maybe he goes over in a barrel, I'll never tell. Number 9, Winter Soldier and Black Widow. This is one that audience members have talked about seeing for a while on the big screen, like they want this. If the MCU had worked so that Bucky and the Avengers got more time to hang out, this might have ended up happening. I could see it. I think there's more to Natasha and Bucky, because in the comics, Bucky trains Nat in the Red Room. And then in the MCU, Natasha talks to Steve about the Winter Soldier and how she's tried to stop him before. So she knows about his existence in that universe, just how much we don't really know yet. But with Black Widow being a prequel to Iron Man 2, I feel like we're gonna see some sort of flashbacks or something that involves Bucky. I think it's going to be full of cameos. Natasha was given this serum in her origins, of course, and I hope they include this in the movie where she ages slower. So her and Bucky are around the same age in the comics, funny enough. And she knows him as James back in the day, you know, before the Winter Soldier stuff. So could the comic book hookup just be a one-time thing, or will we see some sort of flirtatious behavior with the two in her solo flick and some saucy flashback scene? Let us know below. Do you want to see this? Is this kind of like a weird thing? I know people want Bucky and Cap to be like a thing. We were all rooting for it, but hey, it's never too late. Number 8, Happy and Pepper. Yeah, I just said that. This one would never happen in the MCU, but just imagining it is pretty hilarious and weird. So yeah, in the comics, they were a thing. There was this sort of love triangle actually that happened going on with Pepper, Tony, and Happy. So once Happy was hired as Tony's new bodyguard, Happy and Pepper started to bicker, kind of argue a little bit, and through that they ended up becoming pretty flirty in nature. Kind of like in high school when somebody makes fun of you, it's because they usually end up liking you a bit in the first place, you know, it's like playful banter. So Pepper and Happy ended up getting married. That is until Happy met his demise in the Civil War storyline. Sads. I honestly feel like Happy and Aunt May are gonna do this whole marriage thing in the MCU. Like this is gonna happen to them. Like by the time that happens, Peter will probably end up running the Avengers. So I'm sure he'll take the spot of Tony when it comes to commenting on the weird relationship between the two. Only I'm sure it will be more lighthearted and fun in nature. Kind of like what we saw with him in Far From Home. Solid dynamic, I'm here for the both of them. Or maybe Spider-Man is gonna get pissed once Happy dies, and that's gonna be like his way of like coming back in. Or maybe Aunt May will die, and then he'll be even more pissed. Oh my god, we have a lot of things to work with. Number 7, Nightcrawler and Jermaine. This one is juicy. Imagine you're dating somebody, and then you find out that they're actually an adopted sibling. Like, that's a weird conversation to have. I mean, you're not related, sure, but like, that's still weird. That's a very weird thing to do. That's exactly what happened to Kurt Wagner. Kurt grew up with Jermaine Sardos. He was adopted by her and her mother, and they of course became close, being the new siblings and all. But then things get amazing, okay? So Kurt started to date a woman named Amanda Sefton, okay? And then she turned out to be Jermaine in disguise. Surprise, dude, that's crazy. Now, normally when you find something like this out, you're a little upset. You've been deceived. You're obviously confused, and you're probably pretty angry. I mean, one would assume. But Nightcrawler is totally cool with it. He's like, you know what, I'd be more demonstrative about it, but I don't want to set a bad example for Kitty Pryde. Yeah, or you could respond like that. That's one way you could come back. This dude is not fazed by this at all. He's like, yeah man, I basically have 2 girlfriends. What's up? Number 6, Kitty and Colossus. Age is just a number, I guess. When it comes to Marvel romances, they aren't really the most healthy of romances, you know? When the two first met in X-Men issue 129, she's said to be 13 years old. They're trying to recruit her to go to Professor X's school. Colossus is like 18 at the time, or so we think. Now, in the Days of Future Past storyline beginning in X-Men 141, we see Kitty and Colossus married in the future. Nice, I think. That's another thing though, like back to the 14-year-old part, because that's the craziest point that I'm trying to make here. They had their first kiss during the space mission, and right before they kiss, Kitty's even like, oh, I wish I was older, and Colossus is like, so do I. And then he explains how serious he's being by kissing her. And cue the police, send them in guys. We got him, roll it down, let's go. And then after the kiss, he's like, oh, you're not older, like you should be older. And Kitty's like, it doesn't matter. He's like, no, it for sure does matter. I'm like, yeah, you just kissed though. It kind of feel like you're already nailing that confident, buddy. Yeah, this isn't the right time or place. More so, time. That's a big time, that 4-letter word. That's the main thing here. Number 5, Wolverine and Squirrel Girl. Yeah, this one's weird. So in part 1 of this list, I had mentioned that Wolverine, when he was with a young Mary Jane Watson, which is just a wild time. If you haven't seen part 1, you gotta go watch it. It has some fun stuff in there. Turns out he has this weird history as well with Squirrel Girl. And this has been speculated for a while now, and it comes down to a simple page of text. In New Avengers issue 7, we see the two talking as if something had happened. Something rather intimate, that is. A little intimate. Squirrel Girl is like, well, I hope we can agree to be professional, you know? And Wolverine's like, of course. You look amazing. And she's like, oh, you do look good too. There's just something there. This is not a conversation, like I don't catch up with my buddies and be like, hey, how's school? Good, you look amazing. You do too. I'm like, yeah, let's be professional. They're like, oh, what? Why wouldn't you? This is a normal thing. This becomes more evident come Wolverine issue 8. Emma Frost had entered Wolverine's mind and literally found a room called Sexual Fantasies. And then Emma's like, I know I'm gonna regret going into this one. And maybe she was right, because upon opening the door, none other than Squirrel Girl herself is hanging out in this room. Proof? I don't know, proof of a weird fling? I think so. Number 4, Wolverine and Storm. Now, whenever Wolverine is in the picture, you know somebody's gonna get hurt, whether it's physically or emotionally. So Storm and Wolverine were always flirtatious. They were the cool kids of the X-Men. They didn't exactly get involved with a lot of the drama. They were too cool for that, you know? Besides, Wolverine was too into Jean Grey anyway, so his hands were full. Now, after a divorce, that's a tricky time to do stuff. Even flirting with a coworker after a divorce, it just looks way worse now more than anything. The timing is just ill. Storm divorced Black Panther and then things got interesting. The two of them ran the Jean Grey school and hit it off. Now, the two of them could have just gone on to become the best of lovers, but Wolverine had to go ahead and die, not giving the relationship the proper light of day. And number 3, Gamora and Iron Man. Now, at the start of Endgame, we see Tony Stark and Nebula stranded in space after the events of Infinity War. The two weirdly got along. I mean, yeah, they both bonded over losing a massive battle that resulted in lots of their family and friends dying, so it's kind of easy to let bygones be bygones, you know? Tony and the daughter of Thanos in one ship playing games, you gotta love it. Now, what if I told you that this isn't the first time Tony has gotten close to one of these mad sisters? Tony and Gamora, believe it or not, have hooked up before. So the panel starts with Gamora being all shy and cool. She has like her drink and she's like, oh, you're gonna have to do better out here. And then Tony responds in his classic Tony Stark manner, I can do better. And then it immediately cuts over to the next page of both of them lying in bed. He's all tucked into the blanket, like the shell head looks like he's shell shocked, to say the least. And then Gamora's chill about it. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to the bar. And Tony's like, all right, cool. And then after she leaves, he lets out a small, ow, which, pretty obvious. Number 2, Scott Summers and Emma Frost. We've all been in class and maybe you see your high school crush on the other side of the room. You start to daydream, maybe you're putting your pencil through your hair, doing all that cute and you start to daydream of talking to them, maybe even dating them. You can't help it, right? All those hormones flying around through your high school head. High school's wild, man, what a weird time. Cyclops loves the telepathic types, so this exact scenario could get him in quite the pickle if he did anything like this. Which he did. So after Emma becomes Scott's therapist to say, some things get heated. So she used her telepathic powers to enter Scott's mind to help him get through past traumas, you know? What a good friend. So naturally they get pretty close, maybe a bit too close. The affair happened in their minds, which is why this is one of my favorites on this list. Like Jean Grey walked in on them in their / her minds, all the minds together. Superheroes are insane, man. So Emma Frost pitches the situation pretty well. She's like, no, we'll be in deep private thought where it's safe to explore these feelings without guilt. And he's like, Emma, I'm clearly betraying my wife, come on, get out of my head. I don't know, I feel like with the psychic stuff, that's like, does it count? Is that cheating? Yeah, that's cheating. If you think about it. I don't know, what a weird loophole. And finally, number 1. WandaVision. Yep, with the new Disney Plus show getting released soon, I have to save this one for last. This one is hot out of the MCU, and I feel like it's a relationship that people overlook. Now, I'm talking about the MCU story with these two characters. That's it. These guys should not be together. Like, what? During Civil War, she buries this dude underground when he attacks Hawkeye. Vision also is made out of the Mind Stone mostly, so the same stone that gave Wanda and Pietro their powers in this universe. And maybe that's why they're attracted to each other, but like that's not enough. That's still, like they're sexually involved. Like they, you know, it's weird. The fact that they ended up together at all during any of these storylines, like how do you have the time for relationships? Like from Age of Ultron up until Infinity War, there's like no chance or time to hit this off properly. Like that's the biggest red flag couple. And sure, this last one is just my opinion, but I feel like I'm not alone here. The romance started somewhere between Civil War and Infinity War, but like what we see on the screen isn't enough to make us believe that they're like a solid, happy, healthy couple. It just doesn't make any sense. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are our top 10 weirdest Marvel hookups part 2. Let us know down below which ones we missed so we can add them to our reading list this weekend and we'll go through. Now we head over to part 1 where I will pull out a couple of those comments. Okay, this first one comes to us from one of our faves on the channel, Broken Bridge, and they comment, I wonder what it would have been like if Sharon Carter became the next Captain America. It probably would have been pretty sick, man. I agree. Like, I don't think we have to wait too much longer because with Disney Plus releasing the whole What If series, they actually showed us some concept art of Peggy Carter sporting her own suit with the shield. So I feel like after that's received well by the audience, they can probably toss Sharon the shield at some point. Like I feel like that's their next step after that. We might even see her suit up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Maybe the last episode, I'll call it. And the next one comes at us from Sunstar. Fassbender, Magneto, and Evangeline Lilly would work in a crossover event if Ant-Man was not in the picture. Okay, maybe, I hear ya. I feel like Evangeline Lilly, like her version of the Wasp is too badass for Fassbender. Like I think she would meet him and be like, yeah, no thanks, peace. And then turn into a wasp and fly away. She's gonna go with the shrinking, funny wannabe magician. I mean, that's obviously the best point. She's got too much sass for Fass. There we go, we can write that one down. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed and those notifications are turned on. You gotta turn those on. So when we do our live premieres, you know when to hop in the chat and we can respond to your comments live in real life IRL. It's always a blast. I'm Taylor McWatters. See you next time, nerds.